So, if you have more than one child, if you are a parent of multiples, and you want to raise children who love each other, you want to raise children who will have a loving relationship when they're older, who gravitate towards each other, and you don't want them to fight, and they do fight a lot, and you try multiple ways for them to get along, but it seems that nothing works. This is the podcast episode for you because I'm going to basically deliver the same class that I just delivered for my clients in HIC parenting. So you have a clear understanding on how to reduce sibling conflict at its early stages to prevent it from escalating to aggression. You are going to start diffusing the sibling bickering, the name calling, the hurtful words, the bothering each other, the poking each other, all the getting under each other's skin on time. You are going to see less hitting, less big fights, less biting, less throwing, because you're going to start diffusing things early after the training that you are going to hear today in the Parenting with Understanding podcast. Hello, my name is Marcela Collier. I am your host of the Parenting with Understanding podcast, certified parenting coach, and founder of HIC Parenting Education Agency. My team of coaches and I have served 14,151 parents of sensitive children, bring peace to their parenting, break free from reactive cycles, and raise secure children with accountability. If you've been listening to the Parenting with Understanding podcast for a while, if it has helped you in some kind of way to become or towards becoming the parent that you want to be, I encourage you to leave us a positive review. Open the description of this podcast episode, write a positive review for us, and let us know how the Parenting with Understanding podcast has helped you so far. Okay, hopefully it is a 5-star review, by the way. Okay, so let's go to this how to prevent the small fights or the small disagreements from becoming big ones. It is important to understand our children's needs. Let's start there because, according to research, every behavior, especially when it comes to sibling behavior, the bickering, the snatching toys at each other, the whining, the name calling, the getting under each other's skin, all those behaviors communicate a need. And it usually starts when they become siblings. When they become siblings. The biggest thing, or one of the biggest thing that happens in a child's life is receiving a new sibling, especially for the first time. Why? Because this child depends on their caregiver for survival. And the younger they are, the more they depend on the caregiver for survival. So the younger they are, receiving a new sibling, the scarier it could be for the older child, because their needs, their chances for their needs to be met reduce. That's the truth. Even though we meet all our children's needs, their chances for their needs to be met at the speed that they were used they're used to their needs being met reduce. And not because you're a bad parent, not because I'm a bad parent, but because we only have two hands. We have one body. I wish I could be divide myself and be with both of my twins at the same time, and sometimes I cannot. When they were babies, I was only able to change one diaper at a time, and a lot of times one of them had to wait crying with a poopy diaper while I was helping the other one. So their chances for their needs to be met do reduce, even if we are great, loving, caring parents. So, what happens here? It creates a lot of nervousness in the older child. If a tiger jumps out of a bush, who is first in line? And I know it's not going to be me. It might be that little sibling baby that I have now. So this creates tension, and tension creates behaviors. Behaviors that could be aggression towards the sibling, disruptive behavior when you're trying to take care of the sibling, disruptive behavior when the sibling is resting, or whining, complaining, things like that. And it could transfer not just for the first few weeks or months, but it could transfer to years of this if not properly processed by the parents, or if not properly addressed by the parents. It could either be a lifelong issue. The, the result of this is, for example, my mom and her sibling, her sister, they are 8 months apart. They are 8 months apart. So when my mom was born, her sister was 8 months. She was still a baby. They are both in their 70s, and up until this day, they're still competing to who was loved most by my grandparents. And they just not compete about that, but they compete about which one of their children loved them more. And I remember last year they came in to visit me, and then I took them to Walgreens, and then I showed my aunt a lipstick, and then she said, "Oh, I love this lipstick," and I said, "Ah, auntie, I will get it for you." My mom right away, "You love her more." This is a childhood wound that comes from within, feeling that they needed to compete to get their needs met, to get attention, and to get love. It was not processed, and because they were raised with very traditional old school parenting, I can't imagine what my grandparents' reactions were when they had those similar behaviors. So it got worse. They love each other, they help each other a lot, but they cannot stand each other. If they are with each other more than 48 hours, it's a disaster. Maybe an afternoon, they're okay, but not more than 48 hours. But they still call each other and they love each other. So this could change. You could change the trajectory of your children's relationship by understanding how to meet their needs early. And let's talk about those needs, okay? Remember, the title of this podcast is How to Raise Children Who Love Each Other and Don't Fight. The first thing is making sure that your relationship with all your children is an abundant relationship instead of a scarce resource relationship. And all comes from how you communicate with them. If you communicate from a scarce resource standpoint, they will see you as a scarce resource. Mommy only has two hands, and there are three of you. You guys have to wait. Is it true? Yes, but it's a scarce resource language, and that increases anxiety. Oh, I need to compete because mommy only has one hand, two hands, and there are the three of us. I want to make sure I'm in one of her two arms, even if one of my siblings is out. So, how do we change to abundance? For them to believe with the core of their heart that there is always enough of you for all of them, even if you have five, even if you have 12, that there is always enough of you for all of them. And when you feel that, I know sometimes we feel like it's not enough, I'm not enough, then to communicate it from a standpoint of abundance. So, how can I be? One thing is to say, there is one of you, and there is one of me, and three of you. And another thing to say, there is more than enough mommy for all of you. I'm just going by turns, okay? Right now, I'm helping Miguel first. Tomorrow, I'm gonna help Santi first, and I do that a lot with the twins. I help them get in the car seat. Still, I mean, they know how, but I want to they're properly placed. Maybe it's my anxiety. Are you the same? Let me know if you're watching from YouTube. You're kind of like neat freak when it comes to making sure they're properly buckled in the car. Let me know in the comments if you're watching from YouTube. Hi, somebody. I'm recording this podcast and somebody is doing yard work next door. Hopefully, this is not filtered because that would be so bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of. I apologize for the noise, but the neighbors are doing yard work. So I do that a lot because they do compete. I want you to help me first. No, it's me first. So now I have a little system. If I help Santi first in the morning getting in the car seat, then in the afternoon when I pick them up from school, then Miguel is gonna be first, and then vice versa the next day. And then we have a little system back and forth going on. So they are not competing for this scarce resource. Another thing is that to remind them that there is a lot of you for both of them. I see it a lot with my twins when they try to get on my lap and kind of fight with each other, fighting for the place to be on my lap. I say, hey, boys, I held you both at the same time in my belly. I can handle both of you right now. And that usually diffuses the tension. So remember that this podcast episode is about how to diffuse the early stage tension so it doesn't escalate to the big tension with aggression. Let's go into other different behaviors and how to address it. But first, I want to ask you a question. How calm are you helping your children figure out their sibling dynamic and solving their sibling conflict? If the answer is, I want to be calm and help them, I want to be able to help them, but it's hard, I feel triggered, I don't know how to stay regulated, how to stay composed, even though I want to be composed, then I have an invitation for you. I have a free class where I show you the 4-step system that all my clients, my coaching clients in HIC Parenting have to bring peace to their parenting, break free from those reactions so they can finally raise children with peace and accountability. You can find this free class in hicparenting.com. I'm going to repeat it again because the gardener next door is too loud. hicparenting.com, or you can find it in the description of this podcast episode. If you are watching from YouTube, it's in the description below, or I'm going to put a card up here above the video. If you're watching from YouTube, you can click on there and start transforming your parenting and start parenting your children with a lot more peace. So let's keep talking about these needs or these behaviors and how to address them. Let's talk about bickering. So bickering is not straight up fighting and yelling at each other. They're just snapping at each other. They're just eh. So the first thing is, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Is this a learned behavior? Yes and no. If there is a lot of bickering between you and them, then yes, it could be a learned behavior and they could show up more, but not necessarily a learned behavior. This could come from conflicting needs. I took my twins to a shoe store and then they fell in love with the same shoes. And it happened that the store only had that size, those shoes, that was it. They had to give up. One of them had to give up and nobody wanted to give up. So it became a bickering war between my both of my twins. So that's part one need that could spark bickering, conflicting needs. Number two, boredom. Have you seen that in your children when In unstructured times when they don't have much to do, and that's when they start bickering with each other more often, more frequent. Another one is status war. So they want to prove where they are at, the status in their, like their, how do you say this in English? Escalafon, or like who is first in the sibling dynamic, who's the strongest, who's the fastest, who's the most and best. So they start bickering at each other about this. Okay? No, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. Things like that. Or physical needs. They're tired, they're hungry. So you hear them bickering at each other in the back of the car when you're just trying to get home to start dinner and you're already late. That's another need why bickering could start. So a lot of the times when we hear bickering, parents tend to pick sides. Don't pick sides, because then this is going to create an imbalance in the sibling dynamic, and it's going to increase not just bickering but sibling rivalry. What I recommend is to diffuse it with playfulness or with making you the target. Example: my twins, one of my twins was playing with, we have a cat. He has a toy. My cat has a toy that is like a Leo stick with a string hanging down. And then my autistic son took that little string, he started dingling it in front of his brother's face. My other son was annoyed by it and he started running away from my autistic son. My autistic son did not read that body cue because it is part of his autistic symptoms. He has a hard time reading body language. And instead of refraining from it, he tried harder, and he thought that the running away was just part of the game. So what I did is that I made myself the target. I started pretending that I was this little cat, and then I let my children target me as the playful cat to play with the string and all, and then I diffused it with playfulness. So that's a very big tool. Use playfulness to diffuse sibling bickering. Another one is to teach them pragmatic language. Pragmatic language is helping them understand each other's body language and the message beneath it. Santi, do you see your brother running away when you put the dingling thing on his face? He ran away. That means he's not liking it. He's trying to not feel that. That means you need to stop. He didn't know that. He needed translation. And if you have a neurodivergent child, an autistic child, they need translation 99% of the times, because pragmatic language is a challenge for autistic people in general. And I say it because I'm autistic as well. And even as an adult, sometimes I struggle to read people's body language. I was my pastor's assistant for a little while until I got fired because I could not read when she needed Kleenex. I could not read that. And then I remember her telling me, "You need to pass me the Kleenex when you see me sad." I'm like, "What does sad mean? How do you show up sadness?" And if you are neurodivergent, you might know easily when somebody starts to show signs of sadness, but I need to see you crying for me to really know you're sad. Besides that, it's hard for me, not because I'm not empathetic, but because I don't read body language the same way other people read body language. Okay, so that's bickering. Let's go to teasing. Teasing is another sibling behavior that comes from the need of feeling powerless. Of feeling powerless. Yes, the need of feeling powerful. I'm sorry, because they feel powerless. So if you have a child who is excelling in many areas and another one who is not as smart, not as talented, he's not the one who gets picked for the team and the other one does, You may see that a lot. You may see the weaker one teasing the stronger one, or vice versa. You may see the stronger one teasing the weaker one to gain status. So in this case, it's teaching them empathy and teaching them pragmatic language as well. That is not kind, that you are telling your brother, ha, 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 I can do this and you cannot. I can jump and touch the ceiling fan and you cannot. That's not kind. And it's not safe either what you're doing. That's not kind. You see your brother? Is he laughing about it? Is he smiling? No, he looks sad. So don't say those things. If you want recognition, just say it. Hey, brother, look at what I can do. I can jump high and touch the ceiling fan. That's different. You can meet your need for recognition without pushing down your brother. That's a great lesson that you can teach your children. So that's teasing. Usually comes from feelings of powerlessness or comes from the need to gain status. The hurtful words. Hurtful words reflect tender feelings. You're a dummy. Such a dummy. Could mean, I feel jealous that mommy praised you 10 minutes ago. So it is easy for us parents to get tangled up in that. You don't call your brother names. I dare you to call him names. You respect your brother. That increases that resentment, that jealousy, that like, oh, she doesn't only praise him, but she defends him. I'm going to step on him even more. I'm going to increase these feelings of resentment and jealousy and go at my brother even more. So, my recommendation is just to teach them to express their more tender feelings so they can replace that for saying hurtful words. They could replace hurtful words for communicating their more tender feelings. So instead of you're such a dummy, you can say, I wanted a hug too. Mom, can I get a hug? That's a higher level of thinking. And don't expect that your children are going to go to be so mature right away. But if you keep training them in communicating their needs and feelings assertively, you are going to be surprised when they use their skills, So let's go back to the title: How to Raise Children Who Love Each Other and Don't Fight. It's simple. Simple. Be aware of your children's needs and help them communicate their needs peacefully. That's it. Be a secure parent so they learn to be secure with each other. Be the example so they can replicate your example with each other. Have a lot of grace for both of them and remember that your children, all of them, are precious and they're not trying to be rude. They're not trying to antagonize anyone. They're just living their feelings and their needs and surviving them the best way they can, considering their immature selves and their low self-awareness and low emotional intelligence. What is one thing that you can do right now to reduce sibling conflict in your family? Out of all the things that you heard, one little takeaway that you got. Let me know in the comments. If you have a parent friend who is raising more than one child, they need, I know, and you know too. I know and you know they need to hear this podcast episode. My encouragement is right now, stop what you're doing. If you're driving, keep on driving. But if you are safe to stop what you're doing and share this podcast episode with a parent friend who has more than one child. You will bless their day, you will make their day, and their life is never going to be the same until they know how to address their children's needs in the sibling dynamic. I want you to know that you are a great parent and it only takes understanding of yourself and on your children's needs to raise secure children. I'll see you next time.